of a new governor to the Reserve Bank of India, Mr. Shaktikanta Das it is. And to discuss what would be his initial challenges, joining me now is Mr. Sachin Chaturvedi. He is Director General at the Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries. That's a New Delhi-based think tank. But more importantly, he's also a member of a board member of the RBI board. Mr. Chaturvedi, thank you very much for joining us. Shaktikanta Das is the new man who will be chairing the Reserve Bank of India board meetings. How well do you know him? Do you think this is a great choice under the circumstances?
Definitely, and I had great opportunity of interacting with him when he took over as G20 Sherpa, and of course when he was DEA Secretary and he was on the board of RIS. So we had good opportunity of interacting with him. I think it's a great opportunity for the board and for us to see how his experience with G20 and of course as Finance Secretary would be leveraged in the kind of vexed issues that we have been grappling with at the RBI board.
Oh, you used the correct word,
I look forward for his very pragmatic leadership.
Okay, you use the right word, sir. There are some vexed issues, as you put it. Do you think you will be, the board and the RBI on the other side will be able to find middle ground? We understand that there are opposing views on something like removing some banks from the prompt corrective action list. There are opposing views in terms of the capital of the Reserve Bank of India. Do you think you will be able to find middle ground?
Actually, Lata, to be frank with you, I thought we had already achieved that middle ground in the last meeting, and I was a little surprised to see this resignation of the governor yesterday. So I hope we would carry forward the work that the board decided to take forward, and I'm extremely happy that Mr. Das has been asked to lead the great institution of our country.
Okay, well, actually, the former governor has certainly made a big statement by his resignation. It is extremely difficult to believe that he resigned for personal reasons. We all met him at the December 5th press conference, and he looked good to go for many, many more press conferences and many, many more MPC meetings. So clearly he's resigned because he couldn't agree with some of the decisions perhaps that were taken or the manner in which they were taken. I believe one of the reasons why he was upset was that the board committees are going to now closely supervise RBI. Is that the way things are going to evolve?
I would not speculate here, Lata, but to be, I think there are several issues on which consensus cannot be arrived, and the bank has the role and responsibility and the leadership position to take all of us forward. But there are certain issues which can definitely be discussed and explored, and then with empirical evidence and our ability to arrive on middle ground, I think probably would be the way forward. And as our legislative position is extremely clear, the board is there very much to work with the governors and the deputy governors. So that role, I think, cannot be ruled out. It is very much part of the legislative framework that we have right from the inception of the institution.
Okay. So, you know, the previous RBI deputy governors and governors have been beholden to their board members. Most of them speak very glowingly about, for instance, Mr. Y.H. Malegam. He is almost always a person they go to for advice, but it was always that advice. They were not bound by orders from the board. Have things changed now? Now the board shall direct the RBI?
No, I don't think. I think it is still mutual respect, and coming from academics, I can very much vouch for this kind of respect and understanding for academic rigor and empirical based analysis. And if somebody is pointing out, then of course there would be discussion, but in academics we are quite used to a sort of a counter view and then putting your perspective, your evidence, and then coming up with an agreement. And if there are criticisms in academics, we do accept that as part of the peer review process in several academic platforms. But this is a policy making body, and somebody is responsible for that. So academic evidences are absolutely essential and good. And I think the very idea, like for instance, of the business cycles, so how US business cycles work, how business cycles in developing countries, in India, how they would work, so how respective definitions should evolve, what kind of empirical evidence we have, the role of the several sectors would come up. So we have those challenges, and we need to see what kind of empirical evidences we have. So I don't see ruling out of counter perspectives, but probably they all strengthen our ability to arrive on a sound decision in collective interest and interest of the country and its economy.
Ashok and Nilesh still with us. Ashok, let me come to you now. The appointment is done. Yesterday, the market was wanting clarity on who the replacement will be. Of course, a lot of those contentious issues continue to be on the table. But what's your sense now in how the market is going to read this development? And, especially the overhang over stocks like Kotak Mahindra Bank, where that deadline of 31st December is looming large. I mean, do you believe that we could perhaps see, changes as far as some of these controversial issues are concerned?
As I said earlier, Shirin, I think the most important thing that's happened is resignation of the previous governor has been accepted. A new governor is now in position. Business will be back to usual from tomorrow morning. And I'd like to believe that the markets will start looking at how the companies are performing. I mean, at the end of the day, the fundamental reason on which the market is dependent for growth or negative growth is really the performance of the companies. Policy making, economic environment play a very, very important role. But eventually, if the corporate earnings are weak, then we all know that the market is going to behave negatively. So I think in one sense, one chapter is done and over with. Yes, the markets are going to closely watch and look, particularly the global investors are going to carefully watch and look as to how the new governor handles both the autonomy and the independence, which is of prime importance, I would say paramount importance.
Nilesh, do you think the markets will wait and watch to see if any decisions would be taken that smack of the new governor being too close to the government? Do you think they will hold on? Or do you think they'll be happy that the choice is such that it may actually bridge a lot of differences? What do you think is going to be the market's reaction in the short run?
In a way, I think for the markets, it's going to be a kind of a sigh of relief, saying, well, the event happened yesterday and the event has been taken care of. And now let's look forward to what the new governor is going to really do and how he thinks and how is he going to react to the various challenges that are there. So clearly, I think the market is going to put behind the event of yesterday and try and look forward in terms of what the new monetary policy or the other policy matters are going to be under the leadership of the new governor. So I clearly believe that for the market, I think the event is over and the market is going to really kind of look forward and probably move ahead as well.